Hello, everyone. Welcome back to State of the Stripes. I'm your host, George Sewell from Swinging for the Fences. Today, very honored to be joined here with the one and only Keith Mcpherson from WFAN. Keith, how we doing today?
George, what's up, man? Good to see your progress and everything that you've been doing, man, from the first time we met last year.
Yeah.
I see your growth. I see your work ethic. I see that you're grinding and you're doing your thing. I like your setup. I like your mic. I see you got the mic arm, and I'm just proud, man. I'm happy to reconnect with you and give you some time today.
Yeah, because you were actually my first ever show way back in I think it was like a week after the first Pinstripe Pride I went to.
What an
Uh,
honor.
First
That's
show
forever,
ever.
man. When you're big and you're famous one day, you'll look back and you'll say, Keith McPherson was my first guest.
Yeah, it was a little table in the corner of my bedroom, and now we've upgraded to my full
Big
studio now.
time. Yeah. Bobbleheads in the back, signed
Yeah,
jerseys.
yeah, it's been great. So we're in the All-Star break right now. Just had the home run derby last night. You watch the derby at all?
Oh, of course. I watched the whole thing.
What were your takeaways from that?
I don't like the split screen, first off,
Yeah,
where
terrible
it's
camera angle.
it's just like I'd rather shoot it like a baseball game. I want to see the pitch, I want to see the ball hit, and I want to see a camera go to the flight of the ball. It's not happening so fast where you can't do that. I don't need to see the players. I don't need to see Brent Rooker's wife feeding her kids. I don't need to see the kids robbing home runs in the outfield. I knew Cal Raleigh was going to win when he beat Brent Rooker out with that point one of a foot difference. I'm
Yeah,
like, that is the technicality that swings it in this guy's favor. I already thought the big dumper was gonna win because he's such a big body.
yeah.
Jazz, I knew didn't stand a chance. The little guys like Jose Ramirez, Mookie Betts, those guys never survive because it's so much swinging. You
Hmm.
can't do it with your upper body. You need to have some legs into it. So I thought it was a good product. I know people are gonna always find ways to pick holes, poke holes and pick at it and say it's not this, it's not that. I thought it was good. Congrats to Cal Raleigh, who's leading MLB in home runs. My hope is that it ruins his swing and he slows his pace down so Judge can catch him.
Yeah, I bet all Yankee fans are in the same boat. For one, I really like the new system where it's not the bracket for the first round. It's just the four guys who had the most long balls. I really like the new system, and I like the bonus time with the outs and everything. I
Yeah,
really like that because you could get a guy catch a groove and just keep hitting them and hitting them. We saw like Cruz do that and
yeah.
Junior, so I really like that system. This was honestly one of my favorite derbies from recent memory. Way back, my favorite one though is still 2019 when you had Vladdy and Jock Peterson just go into like the 40s in like the first round.
Epic.
That's by far still my favorite, but this one I really liked. I like the new system and I hope they continue. Only thing is the the split screen. It was awful. You can't tell where the ball is going. Everything looked like a home run, especially when you had guys like Cruz pulling it from the left-hand side. The
Yeah.
second it left that corner of the screen, you thought it was gone when it's really just a line drive off the wall.
And that high wall down there in Truist Park, you got to get it up to get it over
Hmm.
that wall. Another thing is the broadcasting. I think they could have done better with the broadcasters, the guys and gals selected, and their commentary. I think a
Yeah.
lot of people were critical on how much they're talking about launch angle and bat speed and velocity off the bat, and it's just like a lot of people were comparing it to Chris Berman, who used to just say back, 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 gone.
Yeah. I think they had some holes in it, which they could definitely fix. But I really like the Derby, and hopefully they continue with that next year. We got the All-Star game today. Aaron Judge in the starting lineup, representing the Pinstripes. Very excited. Gleyber Torres, actually former Yankee, penciled into the leadoff spot. He's had a great season in Detroit, so I'll segue into this. Do you believe the Yankees should have made an effort to keep Gleyber Torres?
No, they've had a log jam at second base. DJ LeMahieu was supposed to play second base, and Gleyber Torres was supposed to be the shortstop in 2021. That failed, and you still had DJ on contract. And DJ, his body failed on him where he couldn't play third base. So you move the best second baseman you have, Jazz Chisholm, who's also an all-star, like Glaber's an all-star. You move him to third base, not his natural position to play DJ there. You do that for 3 weeks, and then you end up benching DJ, cutting DJ. No, I feel like the Yankees had to move on from Glaber. He was going to seek a long-term contract from them. It wasn't wise for them to give him a one-year deal like the Tigers did. One man's trash is another man's treasure. Now, I'm not saying Gleyber Torres is trash, but the Yankees discarded him, and he's having a great year with the Detroit Tigers. Congratulations to him. I am happy for him, but the Yankees needed to tighten up their defense, and there were too many times Gleyber Torres booted a tailor-made double play ball or fell asleep at the wheel, like when Otani was on second and that ball comes in the World Series. It's like, come on, Glaber, like be alert. And then, him running into outs or not
Yeah.
knowing how many outs there were or him being too casual in the field. The Yankees needed to get that out of their organization. And so that's why they weren't going to pay him because that would have continued.
Yeah, I definitely see both sides of the argument. My only thing is Glaber is so good with the bat for a second baseman. But the other thing is, I feel like Jazz needs to play second, and I think Jazz kind of voiced his opinion, which is why Boom moved him to second base permanently because he doesn't really have the footwork. His arm strength is there for third, but his accuracy is not there at all. And the bottom line is, he's a second baseman. That's his natural spot. So, I think going into the deadline, third base should be one of your targets.
It has to be. And even going back to last year's deadline, when Cashman traded for Jazz, he wanted Jazz to play second base. They asked Gleyber Torres if he would take ground balls at third and move to third. And he said no,
Yeah.
knowing that he was going to go into free agency. He didn't want to mess anything up. So, hey, it is what it is. But now at this trade deadline, here we go again. The Yankees still need a third baseman. Here we go again. The Yankees didn't sign someone in the offseason where they're going to have to give up prospects. They're going to have to give up players to solve this problem. And like, how you got to give to get, but how much are you willing to give up? Are you willing to give up Spencer Jones for Eugenio Suarez? I don't know if I am. Nah, I'm not. I really am not. I'm really not.
Because Suarez, this is only a rental. He's a free agent next season, so we don't know. Because Spencer Jones, he's been killing it in
Yeah.
AAA since getting called up. So I don't really. I'll tell you my plan though for the offseason. I know we're thinking a little bit ahead, but I really want to go after Kyle Tucker. I feel like that would be the move because what I would do is I would move Dominguez back to center field, which is his natural position. I would have Tucker in left, Judge in right, and I would let Goldschmidt walk, and I would move Bellinger
To
over to
first base.
first, and that's how I would
And then
play it.
what's your plan for Spencer Jones?
I say then you start to consider trading him because then you don't really have those holes. Right now you have the holes all over the place, so trading Spencer Jones doesn't make too much sense. But if you bring in a superstar outfielder like Kyle Tucker, there isn't that much room for Spencer Jones. Then it starts to make sense to trade him in the offseason. Maybe get an arm. You definitely try and get a starter because I don't know how long Schmidt's going to be out for, probably till next of mid-season. And we don't know what Cam Schindler's going to turn into. I don't think Marcus Stroman should have a roster spot next season just with his struggles. So if you can upgrade from Marcus Stroman, I think it's definitely worth considering to trade Spencer Jones to another team.
Here's a take for you. I think the Yankees are more likely to bring back Trent Grisham than to bring in Kyle Tucker. And I only say that because two reasons. One, Kyle Tucker, now after what we saw what Juan Soto got paid and what we saw what Vladdy got paid, he's the top free agent on the market. He is going to have the highest contract come this winter. And I know the Yankees swam in those waters for Juan Soto, and there were a lot of Yankee fans that were saying Kyle Tucker is just as good as Juan Soto. We'll get him next year. I think the Cubs are also going to try and lock him up, and they have money and they're trying to win and they're very competitive. We just saw them in Yankee Stadium,
Yeah.
and I think the Yankees they're not going to spend the top dollar to get Kyle Tucker. I think they'd be more inclined to bring back Trent Grisham, who should be a lot more affordable.
So then what's the move if you're the Yankees? Because I feel like you need another bat to the lineup. And I think Eugenio Suarez is a good target for this season. But like we said, he's gone after this year. So you still will be missing a bat. So what should the target be for the Yankees?
They'll do a bargain bin clearance rack pickup. Right now they have like Nicky Lopez and Jeimer Candelario in the minors.
Yeah.
Cashman loves to find those type of guys. They've been doing it for so long. Someone said to me, Keith, when's the last time the Yankees had like a solid third baseman? I'm like, I don't know, Gio. And Gio Urshela was a Cashman find for cash considerations, and he didn't last long. It's been a revolving door over there. They won't address it. And I also think that they look at George Lombard as potentially the third baseman of the
Yeah.
future. They are not down on Volpe either. They see a left side of the infield with two of their top draft picks becoming, star players for them. Volpe's got to obviously pick it up. We all know that. Nobody's defending Volpe and saying that he should be given the opportunity to continue to be the Yankee shortstop. But I think they see George Lombard Jr. not as Volpe's replacement, but as a guy to play right next to him.
I 100% see that. And I've talked about this in my videos, but I don't know. Is next year the year to call up Lombard, or do you give him a year, another year? Because he's young still. He still is very young. So I think, though, the important thing is hands off on Lombard in all trades. He is your valuable piece. He's your hidden gem. That's the guy you got to keep to yourself.
Yeah, that's a non-starter. He's untouchable. I think what they're going to do, similar to Volpe, is at 21 years old in spring training next year, give him the opportunity to compete. They may bring in a veteran. They may sign somebody off the street for a 1-year deal, like a Paul Goldschmidt at first this year, but they're going to let him compete. And they're going to say, hey, if this kid can win the job in spring training, then he gets to be a 21-year-old starting third baseman for the New York Yankees in 2026. If not, then whoever it is that they sign in free agency will get the nod. And then maybe even, they call him up later. Peraza is going to be done. Um, Yorbit Vivas will be in the mix as well. But I don't know. I think the George Lombard hype is going to get really loud. And I think if he plays well in spring training, which he played well in the last spring training,
Yeah,
you could see him with the team. But I think they also don't want him to skip AAA. I expect to see him in AAA at some point this year.
yeah, I definitely do. But the thing is, when are you going to call him up? Because the same thing with Volpe, I think he only had like 17 games in AAA before he got called up. And I definitely do think that hurt him as a player because I
Yeah.
think he missed a few developmental steps in his progress to the big leagues. And I feel like there's always been so much pressure on Volpe.
Yeah.
Everyone's calling him the next Derek Jeter, which is kind of ridiculous. Like, let the guy pave his own path. Because the thing I see in Volpe, I don't see this 300 hitting, 30 homer guy. What I see in Volpe is a 260 hitter, maybe 25 homers, 80 RBIs, 30
Yeah.
stolen bases. If I get that from Anthony Volpe, I'd be happy. That's what
Yeah.
I,
It seems like a lot to ask right now, bro. It
yeah.
seems like a lot to ask right
But I
now.
think that's the reasonable hope for Anthony Volpe. I don't think he's going to be this big superstar like we all expected, but if you could get that kind of season out of him, and if he improves his defense at short, because he does have a few holes with the glove, if he improves that, if he steals you 30 bases, that's a
Yeah.
solid season from a shortstop. That's probably a
Fingers
top 10.
crossed that he is having a relaxing all-star break. He is getting away from baseball. He's maybe with his family. Maybe he's on a vacation. And then this gives him the reset he needs to come back and have a great second half. He needs to pull his average up. He needs to pull his OPS up. And he absolutely needs to clean up the infielding because the Yankees refer to him as an elite defender, and he has not been elite this year.
The only thing is, what I'll say to that is the All-Star break is so short this season. It's like 3 days and then you're right back to it. I wish they should have made the All-Star break longer because it's not really a break.
Yeah, and it's late. It's not in the halfway point. We're well into the second half of the year games wise. I don't know. I don't know. It's enough of a break, and the Yankees have the luck of Judge, Aaron Boone, Aaron Judge, Max Fried, Carlos Rodon, and Jazz Chisholm already being in Atlanta for the start of that series on Friday.
Yeah, definitely. So, and I'll go back to Volpe. Here's my idea for Anthony Volpe. I think you need to sit him a few games a week. You need to let the guy catch his breath because right now he can't be an everyday shortstop. He can't be playing 7 days a week. I think you maybe give him a day, give him 2 or 3 days a week, and then I think you see the progress start to come back up
And
with Volpe.
Play Peraza at short.
Yeah, I think that's your
That sucks.
option.
I
I
know, but
know.
that sucks as the option for the New York Yankees and the like marquee position of being the shortstop of the New York Yankees. It's just like it's like blasphemous. They won't do it. They're going to work and try to pry this out of Anthony Volpe. He's 24 years old and they feel like he's got the body and the build for it. I heard Boone talk about his ability to bounce back and his durability and his strength, and they feel like he's the everyday shortstop. He's the best option, and they don't have another option. And it doesn't seem like they're bringing one in. Peraza to me is not an option. He's an automatic out. I understand he can field, but for the life of me, I don't understand where his power went. He is overmatched no matter who he faces. He can't even lay down a bunt. The
Oh,
sooner
that
they
was
can
terrible.
the sooner they can kind of swallow their own pride and cut ties with Peraza, who I believe they only keep around because he's their own. They ruined him. They brought him up early against the Astros in 2022 when IKF couldn't get it done, and he never materialized. He never turned into the guy. So instead of trading him because he has no value, you won't get anything, or cutting him, just kicking the kid to the curb, which would be harsh, they just go through the motions and they're putting him in the lineup and he's batting ninth and he's terrible. He cannot be getting more playing time once they get a third baseman. He cannot be getting more playing time removing Anthony Volpe, because I feel like that takes time away from Volpe potentially breaking out of it. And that is also just a minus in the lineup.
Yeah, I definitely do. I agree. They feel somewhat guilty with Peraza. They rushed him, but just add that to the list of prospects that the team has ruined.
Yep.
You could go on and on people they rushed. I mean, Estevan Florio. You go to the pitching side, Debbie Garcia.
hmm
It just keeps going on.
Chance
But
Adams on the pitching
uh,
side.
Justice
Um,
Sheffield.
Justice Sheffield, Miguel Andujar,
Oh,
Clint
I really feel
Frazier,
bad for
Greg
Andujar
Bird,
was the best
Gary
out of the names
Sanchez.
we've mentioned. Andujar's by far the
As
best.
far as what we saw, he should have won Rookie of the Year over Shohei Ohtani that year, 2018. But they screwed him up. He was
Yeah,
supposed to be our third baseman of the future right there. Never materialized. Never happened.
yeah, which is crazy. And you could say the same thing about the pitching, which is what I'll segue into. Luis Gil's coming back soon, so someone's gonna have to make the jump into the bullpen.
Mhm.
Who would you maybe throw a guy like Cam Schlittler in there? Would you consider Will Warren? Because I don't think Stroman's gonna budge. So who would you put in the pen?
I was going to say, Stroman's not going to have a choice. And he did say that if he had to come out of the pen, he would be willing to. He could be a long man out of the pen. I don't know how long it's going to take for Yarby to get back. Ryan Yarbrough. He's another guy that could be a long man out of the
Yeah,
pen. I do like the prospect idea thought of Cam Schlittler coming out mowing guys down in the seventh inning. Like I like that thought that Cam Schlittler, if he's able to do it, um, you know, come out and face a good part of the order for three hitters and throw 100.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that would be great. Will Warren, I would leave. I think Will Warren's rookie year, we got way more out of him than we even were anticipating. There's
yeah.
been some good, there's been a lot of bad. But I trust him and his stuff, and he's going to strike guys out. And some nights he really does battle. He has the will to fight back, even after he has some bad first innings. Um, yeah, with Luis Heel coming back, I think it's Cam Schlittler who either gets sent down or put into the bullpen.
Yeah, I feel like he has the mold for a bullpen guy. He throws juice, which is just what you want out of a guy coming out of the pen. And then maybe next year, if he has a good season in the bullpen, maybe then you start considering moving him to the rotation
Yeah,
next year, like you did back in 2021 with Clark Schmidt. Kind of develop him in the bullpen, have Matt Blake work his magic, and then let's see, because I think Luis Seal obviously should get a rotation spot. I think Will Warren has earned it. I know there's been some bad spots, but there's been a lot of bright spots. As you said, it's really only the start for Will Warren. He's got really great swing and miss stuff, some of the best in the league. And I see the potential with him, and he's battled the whole season. This hasn't been like a month. He's gone the whole year with being in this rotation, and he's somewhat earned a spot. So I can't really take the spot away from him in the rotation. So I agree. It probably is a guy like Schlidler because the bullpen needs to step it up. Jonathan Loáisiga really has to find his stride coming out of the pen. We'll see what happens with Leiter after he comes back from the injury. But we need more lockdown guys. Shout out Devin Williams. He's been fantastic the past month and a half coming out of the bullpen. I always knew he would find his stride back. Luke Weaver really needs to find it. He's a guy who also needs the All-Star break, but I definitely feel he got rushed way too fast back off the IL. They said at first 4 to 6 weeks, and then
yeah.
he's back in like 2 weeks. Like, I don't know if it was him saying, Coach, I'm good to go, put me in, or is the front office moving him back? Whoever's call that was,
A little bit of
started
both.
up
They
terrible.
needed him. They absolutely needed him, especially with Fernando Cruz getting hurt, Mark Leiter Jr. getting hurt, Loaiza being ineffective, Devin Williams being somewhat shaky. They needed Luke Weaver to come back, and he didn't come back as the closer. He came back as the setup man, and I think that's a part of it too. Just his psyche, right? He's coming
Mm.
in as the setup guy and not the closer now, and I don't think he cares about losing the closer role, but it's a different job. It's a different role.
Yeah, definitely. And he is a really psychic person. If you
Yeah,
ever heard him talk, he's really into that mental side of this, which I really love. That's a part of his game I love. He's all emotional and all that. So hopefully, because I feel like the bullpen is supposed to run as him in the setup spot. I
yeah,
don't really think he's a closer per se. I just think he's a great pitcher, and he stepped up when we needed him. But he's a pitch to contact guy. He's not really a big swing and miss guy. So as a closer, I want swing and miss stuff, which is why I really like Devin Williams. And Devin Williams has proven himself for the past 5 years that he's
yeah.
an elite closer, just needed to find his groove. I know the beginning of the season was horrific, but Yankee fans are they're not paying attention, it feels like. Like he's still getting so much hate, Devin Williams. I think I saw since like May, his ERA is 1.99. Like he's been lights
Well,
out since
that's a large part of our fan base. They don't watch every game.
May.
They don't watch every series. And with Devin Williams, he doesn't pitch every day, so you don't see him. And a lot of them have already written him off. I honestly thought it wasn't going to work. I thought there was too many things stacked against the guy. I'm like, I don't think he's built for New York. He's going to be a free agent. He just had a baby. Like, the fans are already against him. Um, He's had too many blown saves and too many games that he gave up, but I am thankful that he found it. And they said it's through him calling his own games. It's through him, calling what pitches he wants to throw. And historically, he always started to heat up around late May, June. So it worked out. And I'm rolling with him. I'm riding with him as the closer, Luke Weaver as the setup man. And they definitely need to figure out some sixth, seventh inning high leverage guys in the trade deadline, but then also with who they have with maybe Cam Schlittler. I don't know if they can get Loizaga right. He's been home run derby. But Fernando Cruz should be back, and Mark Leiter Jr. Maybe he'll be back in September. Or maybe Leiter before. I don't know. Leiter had like a foot fracture. So I don't
Yeah.
know how long that's going to take for that to heal. And Cruz with the oblique, he hurt it warming up in the gym. Hopefully
Yeah.
he's fine to come back in September from that.
Yeah, so last thing I want to touch on, what's your ideal trade package? Like, who are you going to target this trade deadline? Because Brian Cashman said we're going to go to town this trade deadline. I don't know how true that is, but if they were to go to town, who would you like to see them grab?
Yeah, I'm not sure what town he's talking about. Titletown? Let's go to Titletown. Let's go get Eugenio Suarez then. He is a power hitting third baseman that you put that right-handed bat in this lineup, and this lineup is lethal. If not him, then go get me Key Brian Hayes or Ryan McMahon. They're not as much of hitters, but they can pick it, and they're not going to cost as much.
Yeah.
And even with their contracts, I think both of them are in contracts where they're not going to be, half a year rentals. Um, Pitching wise, you're going to hear the Ryan Helsleys, the David Bednars, um, I just saw David Robertson popped up. Sure,
I
go
saw
get
that
David
too.
Robert for, he's not somebody you'd have to give up a prospect for. Sign
He's a
him.
free agent.
See what he has. If he sucks, at least he'll give you some innings the rest of his way potentially. And then they might be in the market for a starter. And I like the idea of trying to go big and get Zach Gallen. Who is
Yeah.
starting for you? Who are your three starters in the postseason um, right now? Say if they did not get another starter, who are you starting game one, two, and three in the ALDS or CS?
Yeah, definitely, because we don't know how Luis Seal is going to bounce back. And I know Zach Allen, the numbers don't look great, but I've been following along. His last three starts, he's been lights out, Zach Allen. He's back on that upward trend. I feel like a lot of pitchers just got off to a bad start this season. I don't know what it was.
Sandy Alcantara too.
Yeah,
People were ready to say, "Oh, he's not back from Tommy John." Man, these guys are former aces
yeah.
that, with a
Former
little
Cy
bit of
Young.
tweak, Cy Young guys, like they can rev it up, especially when the lights are brightest in October.
Yeah, and Zach Gallen actually has postseason experience. He was in the World Series
Yeah.
back in 2022, so I definitely like that idea. but I feel like if you add Gallen to the mix of Suarez, I feel like it's a given. You're probably gonna have to give up Spencer Jones.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not willing to do that this year.
Yeah,
I want to get back to the World Series. I think they can get back to the World Series. I don't fear the Rays or the
no,
Red Sox. I don't fear the Houston Astros or the Tigers. Maybe the Tigers with Skubal because they
yeah,
can throw him multiple times, and they've got Glaber and Riley Green and Javi Baez, three guys that are all stars. But the Yankees should get back to the American League championship and potentially win it. But like, there's a part of me that feels like this isn't the year because there's no Garrett Cole. I
yeah.
can't shake it. People always talk about, oh, you still missing Soto? No, I miss Garrett Cole, bro. Because if Garrett Cole was here, it would look a lot different. If
It would.
Garrett Cole was a 1-2 punch with Max Fried, it would look a lot different. So like, I can't get it out of the back of my head that I don't see these Yankees winning a World Series without Garrett Cole,
Yeah, because then you would have a 1, 2, 3 punch. You add Rodon to that mix.
who is an all-star, who will be pitching at some point later tonight. Max
Yeah,
Fried can't go. Rodon gets the blessing.
yeah, I definitely have the same feeling with no Cole, but I do think you try and win it this year. I think the American League, the Yankees have the benefit because it's 10 times weaker than the National League. So you have more of an even path. Like you said, Toronto maybe scares me a
I
little
didn't
bit
even
just
mention
because
them. I don't take them for real. I know they swept us, but I just don't look at them as like I don't look at them as legitimate.
yeah, and they do have a solid bullpen though. But then Detroit, I see that being our only threat. That's the only re threat I see. But is it really a big threat, Detroit? Like it's not like you're in the National League and you have to go through the Dodgers, you have to go through the Cubs, you have to go through the Phillies, the Mets. So I definitely don't think it's as scary as the NL. I think we have a much more direct path to the World Series, and hopefully we're back in it. Hopefully we'll win it. We'll see what happens. Keith, thanks for taking time out of your day, jumping on the show. Appreciate it. And yeah, that's all we got for today. Thank you everyone for watching. Don't forget to follow. Have a good day, and let's go Yankees.